Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the country's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today, a man who is not only extraordinary, he's talented, and he's knocking it out 8 times a week. Scott Reid, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm really good. On Monday night, here I was at the Theatre Royal in Nottingham at press night for The Curious Incident, which is a play I saw in the West End years ago. And without you in it, it's already amazing. But if you haven't got an actor that can be physical, can be energetic, be a hugely powerful actor, be funny, be witty, be everything that you need, that triple threat, it ain't going to work. And you do it masterfully. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. That's very nice of you to say.
It's no walk in the park, this play, is it? I mean, it's about an autistic boy, and in itself, you've got to handle that sensitively because we can't make fun of him. We can't be laughing at him. We've got to sort of sympathise with him, and that's a really tricky balance.
Yeah, I think the challenge as the actor is to bring the audience into his shoes and actually take the 1,100 people or whatever it is a night and make them take this journey with him. They are him. We empathise. We understand the world from his point of view. And actually, if anything, it makes us flip our own world and look at the people that we would normally understand as neurotypical, the people who are normal in our society, and actually see the flaws in the way that they live and actually how what they do isn't a good way or a kind way or a patient way to live.
It's a huge role. I don't know where you begin to start to learn it. I mean, just putting the train track together in itself is a work of art. And then you're listening to everybody else doing their bit and coming in at the right time. You're running, you're jumping, you're crying, you're shouting, you're laughing. I mean, there's so much going on in this play. How long did it take you before you were on the stage and you thought, oh, okay, I've got it now?
Well, I did 4 weeks solid prep before we even started rehearsals, which was 6 weeks. So that's 10 weeks of work before I've even got onto the stage. Then we did a week's technical rehearsal, and then even into like the first week of runs in front of an audience, there's still things that weren't solidified, and actually it's an ongoing process. And the difficulty of this show is that it demands such concentration and focus, and every night you learn something new about the character, or you learn a slightly easier way to do something, or a quicker A to B. It's always about shortening and making those transitions as sharp as possible. So I don't think by the end of the run I'll have mastered it, but I certainly think that it's getting easier. It's getting easier along the way. You're without question the star of the show, but without everyone else it would fall apart. I mean, everybody's got to be on it, whether it be props, whether it be lighting or sound. This is such a tightly packed show. I don't think there's a show with more cues in history, is there? I mean, there's a lot going on here. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's 10 members of the ensemble, including myself, but the set is the 11th member, and actually the background team are the 12th. Like, they are so, when for instance, the end of Act 1, when I'm building that track, putting that track together, the backward team are filling those cupboards with stuff. They're not just all prepped. They are working together. Me and the guys on book, they are, cueing the show, and it's all in sync. The movement, the physical stuff would just go out the window if we're not all in unison together. And we're a family, and it's great. And everybody, from the guy who looks after the animals, Des, to the girls who do costume and wardrobe, we're all a family. And actually they are, for the show to work, for Christopher's journey to excel, everybody has to be on top form. Who's responsible for Doggies and Rats then? Yeah, Des Jordan, who's a wonderful guy who's on tour with us. He's incredible. He's probably he's probably my best mate on tour, actually. He's great. He's such a bundle of laughs and so chilled out, it's great. I think the skill of a great actor is when you watch someone and you sort of grow in the show and you appear to get older and you appear to change physically. It's amazing watching you. I sometimes wish you could see yourself doing it because it's so extraordinary. At the end of a 2-show day like today are you just completely knackered? Because there's a lot going on. Well, luckily I've got Sam Newton, who is another actor in the company, and so we kind of alternate shows. So Sam comes in on maybe like a 2-show day and we'll do one of the shows, just because not even by the end of the week, by the end of the run, that I'm able to continue to walk, because the amount of damage that ankles and wrists and knees take in the show, you just get bombarded. And actually, Sam's a wonderful actor, and it's a really great platform for him to come in and do the show. We look at how you remember it all. I mean, this is a story about an autistic boy. Asperger's syndrome is a fascinating way of thinking, because it's not about a stupid person. It's about quite the opposite, and it's an extraordinary
extraordinary mentality, isn't it? How do you sit here today as you and then in 2 hours go on a stage and absolutely embody that? Is that about understanding this 100%?
With good writing, you get rules, in the script. Everything that you need, excuse me, within the script. And actually, with Christopher, I don't necessarily play him as somebody who's autistic or got Asperger's. I play him as somebody who's extremely specific about the world and what the rules I apply to him that are different from me. That hypersensitivity that you were talking about is very applicable. The way he walks, the way he interacts, the simple rules like not being able to be touched. If you try and if we just did that right now in our own day-to-day lives, the way we'd move is because you're cautious about banging into people. So that changes your physicality. The way that you listen is more detailed and specific. So again, your approach to another person's is not what we'd come to expect. And actually, I try and throw Christopher away as soon as I come off stage. As you can, I do an accent for 2 hours, and actually when I come off stage, it's back to Scott for Glasgow, and otherwise, I think it would be a very difficult 9 months.
I did once interview an actor who was playing Phantom on Broadway who said, why is he in the part? He doesn't open his curtains at home. That's taken a bit far, isn't it?
Yeah, it would also be a nightmare for me to be on tour and take a train set with me everywhere I go. I don't think the my landlords or landladies would be too happy.
Yeah, the floor of this dressing room is quite nice, actually, isn't it? Uncluttered. Let's talk about you, because you're an extraordinary actor, and in a world full of people who get their private parts out or go on Big Brother and become stars and earn lots of money, you're the antithesis of that. I mean, you're an incredible actor, a Shakespearean actor, a classical actor, recently on TV too. I mean, you take this seriously, don't you? And I guess this is about doing great work, proper work, as is embodied in this play.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as an actor, you want to do quality drama, quality comedy. You want to work with great scripts, and you want to work with great actors. And unfortunately, to get to the best scripts and the top work, you kind of have to sacrifice a bit of your own personal life. Luckily, just worked with Nottingham last. Vicky McClure, she's telling me, she's an extraordinary actress, but your personal life it becomes a bit more invasive. People, are interested in where you shop and what you do, and actually that's something that I think is part and parcel with the job. But for me, it's not about any of that. It's about getting to do the best work, the best script. It's about getting to work with the best actors, because that's how you learn, that's how you become better. And actually, it's not, if you could just do the best work and not have to deal with any of that rubbish, I'd much prefer that,
And what's life like on the road? I mean, as we sit here in this glamorous dressing room, you've got the show to do 8 times a week, you've got the fans waiting at stage door, but in reality you're away from home for months on end, and your family are somewhere else, your friends are somewhere else, and it can be a lonely life. Is it about the company for you? Do you have to sort of make them your family for the time? How do you cope with it? Because it's not easy.
No, it's not at all. I'm very close with my family. We speak every day, and I try and I'm based in London, so I try and get back to London at the weekend and see friends, even if it's just for a night. It feels like that night means that you're not on tour for weeks and weeks at a time. Also, I try and get friends to come and visit, or have somebody in throughout the week to just make it seem like it's not another month till I get home. So it's challenging, but it's something that you learn and something that you take with you for the rest of your life. I don't think doing a kind of tour like this is, it's not without its challenges, but the stuff you learn from it is invaluable, and you can take that forward for the rest of your career.
I noticed that lately you've done a lot of TV and good stuff as well. There's no reaction there, so you've gone from this of 1,000 people cheering you to just a cameraman giving you the clap. Which do you prefer, or is it just about the work? Are you bothered about the ego of it? Because obviously they're reacting to this. Sometimes they laugh, sometimes they don't. On TV, it is purely you and the camera, isn't it?
I kind of started from a theatrical background and did a lot of theatre for about three years after drama school, and that is a direct response. And then I took about a year out and was just trying to, break that wall or that glass ceiling of TV, and it's a really different thing. It's the television or film. It's second by second, 10-second chunks. Is how I think you play moments, whereas this you build a complete journey in a space of 2.5 hours over a 6-week period. And actually, I love the detail of both. I really love the challenge of both. They're so different, and actually I think the challenge for me is in the next couple of years to make that transition between going on camera and then on stage not being an eggy process or a turnaround. And actually, you know, for the first couple of weeks in rehearsals, it was getting my head away that there's no camera there, there's no lens, there's no, you know, I could do some really great acting, but my face is upstage and it's really small, and actually you've got to play to the back room. And then the reverse of that is learning again that, you know, when you go for like an audition, it's very quickly just bring it small, and that's the knack. And guys who do it, you know, consistently on and off, and they just switch, that's where you want to get at. You know, guys like Ian McKellen, you know, he's extraordinary, or Paul Giamatti. These guys are just so specific on screen, but the energy and the performance. Ray Fiennes is another example. Recently, I've seen a lot of his work, and what he does on film, and then what he does in an audience, but to an audience on stage is, you know, it's fearfully good.
I was watching a lot of your clips, and it seems to me you have an ability to tap into pathos and emotion very quickly and sort of transfer that, whether it be on a stage or on screen, effortlessly. What are you tapping into to get to that, which seems to be much deeper than many others do?
I do. Obviously, I can only work from my own experience and what I think, whatever I think acting is. And for me, it's always about changing it and thinking about what would it be like in my life. Not necessarily putting myself through that emotional strain or that, you know, effort, but it's just simply going, well, what does that do if that, you know, how does that affect me? Never does it stay with me, or never do I take it any further than in that room or in that moment. But it's also, I think, not being afraid to fail or like it be wrong. I think there's always if you just accept that whatever you feel like today, so I'm sitting here doing this interview with you, but if this was on camera, however I, Scott, feel that day, that's got to be in the character. It's got to exist within that, because I can't go, well, the character feels like this today and I don't feel like that, so I'm going to make them not align. You've got to make sure that your mind and your body are together. And then I think that's it. The Christopher changes every night. The first half of the play completely, if that's different, the second half and the journey is either harder or, you know, more extreme or more terrifying or more sad, or he's more physically exhausted every night. Because me as the actor, at the start of the week with a day off, I've got more energy. When it comes to Friday night, I'm knackered. So Christopher's tired, so that brings out a different tragedy or a different comedy. I think that's, you know, how I try and find those things.
And you playing with such compassion. I mean, I've seen this done all over the world, and again, we've got to leave the play feeling sorry for him, because he's a man who's in a world that's unfortunate. I mean, whether it be the mother and father relationship, whether it be the whole incident with the dog, or even just his own mind, we've got to bear in mind that he's got challenges that maybe you and I haven't got sat here.
Yeah, no, for sure. Christopher's 24 hours is like our 3 weeks, you know. That's how I kind of think about it. But also, imagine trying to live your life always trying to be honest and tell the truth. I mean, it would be a nightmare. Either society would become completely anarchic, or everybody would just go on and accept it. And actually, the play is challenging on so many levels. I think for me personally, it's about how you live your own life, and actually you start looking at the society that we live in today, or the UK that we live in today, and seeing how selfish and fractured and about money and about time. My time's more valuable than your time, and actually it goes on such a bigger level, this play. I think it really is about opening your eyes to the world, not necessarily on a grand scheme, you know, changing the world. It's about changing your everyday, your mundane, and actually having, you know, be patient. You know, we walk by people in the street asking for money, or, you know, selling big issues, and half the time we've got our headphones in and we don't care. And actually, you don't know who that boy is, you don't know who that girl is, you don't know what they're going through, and actually they could be needing help or completely distressed. There's a really good charity up in Scotland called I Am Me, and, you know, they've set up safe zones, because there's not a lot of places that people who have learning difficulties or are a little bit, you know, scared by normal day society can go. And actually, I think we could do a whole lot more.
We have kind of lost the plot. Yesterday, a PR said to me, "But you've only got 6,000 Twitter followers." I said, "Yes, but it doesn't mean I'm not a nice person." We seem to forget that, don't we?
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of the time, it's about exposure, and and actually, I think to be an actor in today's society, you can either choose to completely not get involved in that and not be on the social media aspect, or you have to play the game. And I think there's a difficulty in that, but in the same time, there's an enjoyment to be found, because that's where nowadays we get our round of applause after like an episode of television. When we finish a play, we stand up and we 1,000 people clap, hopefully, but then when you do a television programme, it's the social media where you get your feedback, and I love the good feedback, but I also adore the horrible stuff. When I play this character Methadone Mick up in Scotland, the amount of abuse I get is extraordinary, but it's what you want, because it's making people. You want people to disagree. You want people not to like your character, because you want people to open up and talk about the show.
Yeah.
So I think if you can accept the good things, you've got to accept the bad things, and the bad reviews are always the funny reviews. They're the ones that you keep with you for the rest of your career, and the ones that you share at parties, and you're always guaranteed to get a laugh if you can remember a bad review.
And then we've got a society that can't go more than 45 minutes without eating a sandwich during a show. I mean, there must be things go on that you're aware of. Are you ever distracted by that stuff? Are you ever allowed to break character, or do you just carry on regardless?
Well, I was very lucky when I was training. I was involved at this company called Pace Youth Theatre, and they did an extraordinary theatre and education work. So in between college, drama school and stuff, I used to go into some of like the roughest areas of Glasgow and doing the shows. That was such a great training. You never know what your journey's going to be, and you never know how you're going to get there, and you never know that what you do and how it can influence you. And that stuff right at the beginning, I can deal with. Being in an auditorium of 1,800 people and there's kids scribbling and writing and taking photos and playing with their phones, because I've had people throwing bottles at you, I've heard people swearing, this is crap, get off the stage. And actually you go, what's better? We've got a young audience in watching the show and engaging, say, for 85% of it and getting something out of it, or they didn't come to the theatre at all. We've got I actually hate it more when you go to the cinema and there's people sitting eating crisps and popcorn and stuff like that. But at the theatre, I go, if this is what we need to do to get people in, Curious Incident is a book that's on the curriculum, and it covers a whole scale of people. If you're going to go and see a Shakespeare play, or an intense drama, or an Edward Albee, it's different, because it's for a kind of elite class of theatre goers. So you go, right, you're going to the theatre to watch the play, but this is for everybody. And actually, when you've got a play for everybody, you come, and if you want to sit and you want to eat crisps or eat a selection box or do whatever you do, if that's going to bring you into the theatre to watch this show, then to me it doesn't really matter. But when you do that when you know you're going to be in a really intense small space for an hour and a half watching a really, really tight, quiet drama, then I agree that there should be things in place to not allow eating. But at the same time, I think, there's the whole Imelda Staunton thing at the moment, which is great. And I completely agree with what she says, that you go to sit and watch that play, and it's hard and it's quiet and it's about listening to every single word, whereas this, we've got train noises and flashing lights, and it's really loud, and actually, do you know what, if kids want to sit and eat a pack of crisps, it doesn't bother me.
And I think that is the irony about this play, that it's about a boy that is so hypersensitive, he's affected by everything, but when you're watching it in the audience, it is incredibly loud, then incredibly soft, then incredibly bright, then incredibly dark, and it does play with your senses, which of course is the key to this play. You're magnificently compelling. I wish you all the best. You're going to be a huge star, there's no question. Thank you for talking to me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Scott Reid is the star of The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which is touring the UK in Nottingham until the 15th. Thank you so much for your time.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Cheers.